Good evening. I would like to welcome Father Reggie from St. Aidan's Episcopal Church, who will lead us in our invocation.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The Lord be with you. Heavenly Father, in your word, you have given us a vision of that holy city to which the nations of the world bring their glory. Behold and visit, we pray, the cities of the earth, especially Milton. Renew the ties of mutual regard which bind us in our civic life. Send us honest and able leaders. Enable us to eliminate poverty, prejudice, oppression, that peace may prevail with righteousness and justice with order, and that men and women from different cultures, races, and of differing talents may find with one another the fulfillment of their humanity through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Good evening. I would like to call the regular meeting of the Milton City Council for Monday, June 21st, 2021 to order. The city strongly recommends that you review tonight's agenda carefully, and if you wish to speak on any item on the agenda, then please bring your comment cards to the clerk as soon as possible. While the Milton rules allow a speaker to turn in their comment card up until the clerk calls the agenda item, once the agenda item is called, no more comment cards can be accepted. Will the city clerk please call the roll and make general announcements?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I'll be happy to call roll for the June 21st, 2021 regular meeting. I would like to remind those in attendance to please silence all cell phones at this time. Those attending the meeting who would like to make a public comment, you are required to complete a public comment card prior to speaking on the item. Your comment card must be presented to the city clerk prior to the agenda item being called. All speakers, please identify yourself by name, address, and organization before beginning your comment. If you are representing an organization, an affidavit is required stating you have the authority to speak on behalf of that organization. Please review tonight's agenda, and if you would like to make a comment, please bring your comment card to me now. Demonstration of any sort within the chamber is prohibited. Please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, outburst, or dialogue with any person speaking. Anyone in violation will be asked to leave. As I call roll this evening, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Tim Peyton Jamison.
Here.
Councilmember Paul Moore.
Here.
Councilmember Laura Bentley. Here. Councilmember Joe Longoria.
Here.
And Councilmember Rick Morrig.
Here.
And Councilmember Carol Kirkley. Sheehan. And for the record, Mayor Joe Lockwood is absent. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the city clerk please sound the next item?
That next item is approval of meeting agenda, agenda item number 21182. Mayor
All
Pro
right.
Tem.
Is there a motion?
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Bentley and a second from Councilmember Moore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. All right, Tammy, is there any public comment?
Yes, sir, Mayor Pro Tem. I do have one. It's Mr. John Prattis. I'd like to invite you to the podium, please.
Okay, the next item is general public comment. Public comment is a time for citizens to share information with the mayor and the city council and to provide input and opinions on any matter that is not scheduled for its own public hearing during today's meeting. Each citizen who chooses to participate in public comment must complete a comment card and submit it to the city clerk, or raise your hand if you're attending on a virtual basis prior to the agenda item being called. Please remember that this is not a time to engage the Mayor Pro Tem or members of the City Council in conversation. When your name is called, please come forward or unmute yourself and speak into the microphone stating your name and address for the record. You will have 5 minutes for remarks. The city encourages you to review the agenda, and if you wish to speak, to bring your comment cards to the clerk or raise your hand virtually right now. Okay? Go ahead.
My name is John Prattis. I live at 100 Gladwine Ridge Drive, Milton.
And the reason I'm here, I'm asking to have an address change on a construction site in my neighborhood. I called for Stephen Krokoff and he wasn't available. And I believe it was Stacy that gave me a call back immediately. And everybody said that it looks like it's going to be okay because 100 yards from my house, they're building a new home and it has the same address as mine. And there's a lot of confusion. I'm getting a lot of items delivered to my home that belongs to the construction site. So I let it lay for about a week or so and followed up, called planning. They said, no, it's going to stay the way it is. It'll settle itself out over time. Well, I've been in my house 26 years and I don't see it changing. My yard's been getting marked up. I've been getting deliveries. The other day, some poor fella trudged up my big driveway with a range and dropped it off. We had to send it back to the new home. So fortunately, I called back and I got Tammy. And Tammy ran right upstairs, and apparently her twin sister is in planning. And she said, John, it's underway. They're going to make those changes. And when I had called planning prior to talking to Tammy, they said, no, we're not going to change anything. We've already done all the permits. Everything's done. It'd be too big of a hassle for us to change all that. So I said, well, I've been in my house 26 years. I think it'd be more of a hassle for me and my neighbor who doesn't even have a mailbox to have the same address on the same road. So it looks like it's going to be changed, but for the record, I just want to state it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've heard the same, and we'll be following up. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, move on to consent agenda. Will the city clerk please sound the items?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The first item is approval of the April the 12th, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. Agenda item number 21183. Our second item, approval of the April 26, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. Agenda item number 21184. Our third item, approval of the financial statements and investment report for period 7, April 2021. Agenda item number 21185. Our next item, approval of an athletic association facility use agreement between the City of Milton and North Atlanta Football League. Agenda item number 21186. Our fifth item, approval of a facility use agreement between the City of Milton and Love Goga LLC to provide goat yoga and mindfulness programming for youth and adults. Agenda item number 21187. Our sixth item, approval of a document of understanding between the City of Milton and Happy Tales Pet Therapy, Inc. to provide animal-assisted therapy to Camp Joyful Souls. Agenda item number 21188. Our next item, approval of subdivision plats and revisions. The first development is the Gorco Trust Ogle Gulshak property. It's 3305 and 3307 Bethany Bend. It's land lot 900 and 901, District 2, Section 2. It is a minor plat subdividing one parcel into two tracts. It's a total of 2.13 acres and a density of 0.94 lots per acre. Our second development is Curry and Collis property at 375 and 385 Darby Road and 15640 and 15650 Toll Glen Drive, land lot 376, 416, 417, District 2, Section 2. It's a minor plat subdividing one parcel into four tracts, a total of 33.973 acres with a density of 0.12 lots per acre. Our third development is Brad Bolduc property at 14685 Wood Road, land lot 630, 631, 666, and 667, District 2, Section 2. It's a minor plat combining two parcels into one, a total of 10.930 acres. It's agenda item number 21189.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as read.
Second. All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Morg and a second from Councilmember Moore. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, we will move on to reports and presentations. Will the city clerk sound the first item?
The first item is proclamation recognizing Ella Katekovich and Jesslyn Gua for their efforts to create a local opportunity for glass recycling in the City of Milton. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. I'm actually kind of glad the mayor isn't here tonight because Ella and Jesslyn reached out to me probably a year and a half ago, maybe it was a couple of years ago. And they were very adamant on getting a glass recycling program in the City of Milton. And I find it fitting that I get to read the proclamation tonight that y'all made that happen. I think everybody in the city has been thrilled. So I will read this and we'll come down and we'll take a picture. So this proclamation recognizes Ella and Jesselyn for their efforts to create a local opportunity for glass recycling in the city of Milton. Whereas glass containers are 100% recyclable and can be recycled endlessly with no loss of purity or quality. And whereas it can take up to 1 million years for glass in a landfill to break down. And whereas recycling glass requires 30% less energy than making it from scratch. And whereas a used glass bottle can go from a recycling plant to a store shelf in as little as 30 days. And whereas for years, Milton residents have been unable to recycle glass containers curbside despite a strong desire to do so and better the environment. And whereas recognizing this need, Milton High School students Ella and Jesselyn made it their mission to help address this need. And whereas Ella and Jesselyn sought out companies that would accept recycled glass and ultimately connecting the city of Milton with strategic materials. And whereas these efforts are an important part of the reason why a large container for glass recycling now sits in Bell Memorial Park as a service to residents. And whereas these two students have inspired their fellow citizens with their enthusiasm, energy, ideas, and initiative to support our community. And whereas city staff are incredibly grateful to Ella and Jesselyn for being integral to our team committed to making Milton and our world a better place. And now, therefore, we, the Mayor Pro Tem and City Council of the City of Milton, hereby recognize and thank Ella and Jesselyn for giving graciously of their time to facilitate a local option for recycling glass in the City of Milton. This is given under our hand and seal, the City of Milton, on this 21st day of June 2021. So thank you both.
There's 3. You can give them an extra if you want to. Sorry.
All right, will the city clerk sound the next item?
The next item is the North Fulton CID presentation of proposed Blueprint 3. It is presented by Ms. Kristen Winsler, she's the program director with the North Fulton CID. Welcome.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having us. Like y'all said, my name is Kristen Winsler, the program director for the North Fulton Community Improvement District. I know most of y'all know what the CID is, but just in case, a little refresher. We are an organization of commercial property owners who invest in infrastructure within the district. And I could talk your ear off about the CID for a really long time. So if you do have questions or you want to reach out individually, I'd be happy to meet with you one-on-one to discuss that. But today I'm here to just give y'all an update on our Blueprint 3 master plan process. So the North Fulton CID, each year we update our master plan, and as part of that process, we like to come to the city councils within our district. We have the city of Milton, the city of Alpharetta, and the city of Roswell within our district. So we like to come to y'all and just give y'all a brief update on what we're doing and make sure there's nothing on there that y'all hate, or if there is something that you love, we want to hear that as well. I'm joined here today by my colleague, Alex Battle with the CID, as well as our consulting team that is putting together the master plan update. You'll hear from Eric Bosman in a minute. He's pretty familiar around here, so you probably know who he is. But he actually did our original master plan, which was approved in 2007. And then we did our second update, which we called Blueprint 2.0. in 2014. And then now we're doing Blueprint 3. As you can see, we're very creative with our naming process. But we're very excited that we're going through this process again. I will say it is quite a rigorous process. We do a lot of input from stakeholders. We meet with a lot of city staff. We meet with a lot of property owners, property managers. I will say a huge thank you to many of your staff members who we have met with previously. Bob, who I saw in the back, as well as Sarah Ledart and Sarah Leaders have met with us a couple of times actually to go through our list and make sure that we can bring it to y'all and hopefully receive a favorable response. Again, we're not necessarily asking for approval, but we do want to make sure that we're doing things that y'all want us to do. I'm just gonna go to the next slide. Oh, nope, I messed it up. Oh, thanks, Eric. Eric's gonna help me with the tech. Thank you. I must press the wrong button, y'all. So I do, just before I bring Eric up to tell you about the plan, I do want to just give y'all a heads up. So we can only spend money within our district. So our plan really represents that. And unfortunately, Milton only has a few properties within the North Fulton CID right now. I will say we actually met with Bob and Sarah today to talk about how we could maybe help and expand that. That would be up to the property owners. But again, I just want to make sure y'all are aware of that. So we do have some things that I think will really help and benefit Milton on our list. And hopefully there will be more to come once we expand a little bit further into the Milton area if the property owners are amenable to that. And then I did, again, we put together this little graphic to show where we could expand. The Deerfield area in particular, I know y'all have a lot going on there right now. There's a lot of activity, a lot of interest. So we think that might be the next really great area for us to include with the city of Milton. And with that, I'm going to bring up Eric, who's going to kind of give you the meat of the presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kristen, and good evening, Council. You know, the CIDs, typically what's in their wheelhouse are infrastructure investments. And like most other community improvement districts in the Atlanta region, the first two iteration of the North Fulton CID's blueprint focused very heavily on vehicular connectivity, improving congestion at intersections, improvements to the off-ramp from Georgia 400 at Windward Parkway, new roadways like West Side Parkway and North Winds Parkway. And what you will see in Blueprint 3 is that the CID really is at a point of transition where there's only so much more we can do in terms of addressing vehicular congestion within the district. Now, that's not to say it's not addressed. Under access, the CID is still very focused on maintaining access and mobility along Georgia 400, to and from Georgia 400, particularly looking at east-west mobility through the district, but really focusing on emerging technologies and how can we use technology, signal timing, automated vehicle technology, and communications technology to address and mitigate some of our congestion issues within the district, rather than road widening and adding additional lanes to our roadways. However, at this point in its evolution, the CID also is looking beyond the automobile and really looking to invest in the character of the district. How do we make sure that the investments and the new development that we're seeing in and along the Georgia 400 corridor is adding to the sense of place and to the value of investment within the districts? And again, how can we use technology as a seed to do that? The CID also is looking to strategically expand. As you heard Kristen mention, the CID can only spend money within its boundaries. So as you think about some of the redevelopment activity that's coming to Milton, while the district does have to remain contiguous, it can't jump over parcels, it does provide an opportunity for additional public-private partnerships. And you'll notice a multimodal headline in Blueprint 3, where the CID now is much more invested in trails, in sidewalk infrastructure, anything we can do to provide folks an alternative to moving throughout our district in the vehicle, whether that's walking, bicycling, or other modes. And with the prospect of transit services coming up Georgia 400 in the future as part of GDOT's express lanes, the CID is looking to take a leadership role and be an active partner in understanding the impact to the district and the potential transit-oriented development that could occur within close walkable proximity of those proposed transit stations along Georgia 400. Now, Kristen mentioned there are only a handful of properties in Milton today. So our project list in Blueprint 3 is not long, but one of the things we really talked about with your staff and with other cities is the need for the Windward corridor to evolve over the next generation of development. What's on Windward today, west of Georgia 400 over to Deerfield and in fact, all the way up to Highway 9, is more of a very traditional development pattern that by its very nature does create a lot of automobile trips and congestion. So that's an area of focus for the CID, but there's no one transportation investment or project that will address that. Really what we saw as the opportunity in Windward is you have the Georgia 400 Highway 9 LCI area plan that was adopted in 2012 and will be due for a 10-year update, potentially next year. So all of the ideas that we talked about with local investors and with staff really all starts with updating that LCI plan, because that's where the great ideas come from for what the next wave of investments need to be from the public sector. So that's really the major project that we've put into the blueprint, because that's the starting point. And the CID would be open to having a discussion with the city about how to partner on that effort from a funding and implementation standpoint. The two other projects that are right at your doorstep that are on the map that may be on your screen, you'll notice that there's a red circle around the Georgia 400 interchange. That is an indication that there is a proposed transit station at the Windward Park and Ride. And thinking about how we can improve walkability and bicycling to that station rather than everyone having to drive to it in the future is something that's on our list. And then the green circle that is M9, while it's within the city of Alpharetta city limits, that's a greenway connection from the interchange along the north side of Windward Parkway over to Marconi Drive and then down to the Big Creek Greenway. And we know that part of what's been in the city of Milton's thinking for quite some time is how to connect your trail infrastructure to other major regional trails. So while that's in the city of Alpharetta, we noted that that may be of interest to you. And in fact, that project, the Greenway, is actually the #2 project in priority on our implementation list. So while I know that you can't read all of the small text on this, what this matrix shows is these are all of our shortlist Blueprint 3 projects, basically our 5-year action plan. Those two yellow projects are the Greenway on Windward is project #2, and then updating the Windward LCI is actually project #9 on our list. So while this shows all the projects that are in Alpharetta and Roswell as well as Milton, this gives you an idea of where those couple of projects that are most relevant to the city of Milton fall within our order. So as Kristen noted, this is really a point of information. We don't want to ask our CID board to adopt a 5-year action plan and master plan that hasn't at least been reviewed by the cities, which it potentially impacts. So we welcome any comments or input. As Kristen said, we certainly don't want to move forward with projects that you don't support on our short list, but we're also open if there are other things that you would like for us to consider.
Great. Council, have any questions? No?
Actually,
Wow.
I have-
Yeah, go.
Eric, I don't know if this is appropriate for where the CID comes into play, but if I look at what some of the new development that's happening with the Georgia 400 expansion today, one of the significant things that's happened up the entire Georgia 400 corridor is the extraction of or change to look and feel. You know, when they built it originally, it was wooded and there was no median, et cetera. And that's all changed today for the future growth. Will that is that something the CID addresses in terms of the aesthetics? You talked a little bit about that, I think, in your presentation. One of the things I'd love to not have happen up here is the containment of the work area by the large, acoustic walls, and allow the trees to still do that. So you put a higher value on the trees to be the sound barrier rather than an artificial man-made barrier. So it's something that the CID can weigh in on.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of influence over the Department of Transportation, although certainly that's a conversation that I think we would be willing to incorporate into some of our conversations. On the arterial routes, the CID does have a very good history of working with both the DOT and with the local jurisdictions that oftentimes those roadway improvements don't include budget, or in some cases just forethought for trails, for sidewalks, for landscaping. And the CID does have a really good history. The CID actually did all of the landscaping of the 4 interchanges along 400. They've partnered with the municipalities and DOT from time to time to make sure that those amenities and the multimodal facilities are part of those larger projects. So I would expect that would be something they'd continue to be willing to entertain.
And that work has been
terrific. I mean, the aesthetics that have been improved over the years for those interchanges in particular are outstanding. It really creates a different sense of place. I just hate the fact that it's encased as you get deeper, towards the city in this corridor, this artificial corridor. Let's let the look and feel of what has been a wooded area as you get up further, 400 to stay as best we can. Thanks.
Thank you. And I want to say I'm glad you are doing the priorities as trails. I think our citizens really, really enjoy that. So I appreciate that. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Will the city clerk sound the final report and presentation item?
That final item is presentation of Milton's 2040 Comprehensive Plan Draft. Ms. Laura Richter.
All right, good evening. Thank you all for having me here. All right, again, thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate your time tonight, and this is a presentation of the Draft 2040 Comprehensive Plan. My name is Laura Richter. I'm an associate with TSW. I'm a planner and designer, and I've been working with your community for almost a year now on this plan. Bob will chime in whenever he sees fit tonight, so we'll be co-presenting. I want to start off and talk a little bit about our project team. First and foremost, the city of Milton, the Milton residents, there it goes, and the CPAC form the foundation for our project team, which is the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. Some of you are members of, and we have a few members in our audience tonight. This group, local group, has guided our consultant team led by TSW, which also includes Noel Consulting. They have led the market study effort. The full market study is an appendix in the draft document. Gresham Smith led the transportation efforts, and Southface led the sustainability components of this plan. Our agenda tonight, we are going to go over our planning process, the recommendations to date, the short-term work program, and next steps in the adoption process. We'll have a public comment period, and then we'll have a discussion with you all. Planning process. The overall process is divided into 4 different phases: research and analysis, visioning, the draft plan, and final plan. I will go into each of these in a little bit more detail as we go along in the presentation. Right now, we're in the draft plan phase. We have completed our public engagement process, and we are moving towards the 30-day public comment period starting Friday, required by the state. And we are looking towards an anticipated adoption in October of this year. Our first phase began late summer 2020 with research and analysis. We reviewed your 2016 comprehensive plan, your parks master plan, your trails prioritization plan, among many others. We facilitated meetings with city staff and the steering committee, which has met almost every week for 6-7 months at least. We mapped all of your existing conditions, green spaces, zoning, future land use. We also conducted a market demand study led by Noel. They were here and presented at the CPAC on January 28th. And do keep in mind that below are demand findings from the market study, and they do not necessarily indicate what the city will take on or develop in the future. So these are just forecasts. Milton could develop 30 to 40 single family home units per year. Milton could add up to 200 rental apartments every 4 to 5 years, and so on. And again, you can read the full market study as an appendix in the document with all different types of data analysis for your municipality. And one of the most integral parts of this process is the CPAC, which is the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. All of these people have been appointed to these positions and volunteer many hours out of their busy days and lives to be present and represent all of the different character areas of Milton. I really do want to thank them for their service. They have invaluable local knowledge and really represent the community so well, help guiding this plan. We had 4 different types of public meetings throughout the process. We had some traditional public meetings, which were a little bit more creative because of the pandemic. Our first kickoff meeting, which was in December, was hosted completely virtually on Zoom and Facebook Live. We were fortunate enough to have our draft plan open house outside here in the plaza and Community Place last month. We had a great turnout with people from the cycling community and also the Parks Committee, as well as many CPAC and other community members. We held 3 online education sessions focusing on placemaking, branding, sustainability, and smart cities, to mention a few topics. We had 5 online forums, which include community surveys, hot topic surveys related to rural character, land use, among others, as well as an online option for our draft plan open house. We held 2 pop-ups, which you'll see in these pictures, one at Bell Memorial Park and one at the new Crabapple Starbucks just down the street. We did a great input activity that discussed rural heritage and preservation in Milton, which was very warmly received by everyone that we spoke to. And there's an image of the draft plan open house, which was held just at Community Place. And through our public engagement, a lot of themes emerged, which you'll see on your screen, including what Milton residents like: large light development, green space, trails and parks, the arts and public art, as well as rural and equestrian heritage, among others. And so these really influenced and drove our public engagement process and led to many of the thoughtful recommendations. So if you go through the document, we have it built off of policies and projects addressing major issues and topics throughout Milton. And we took the 2016 plan as our basis. We made some tweaks, we made some edits, and we made some new additions looking for towards the future vision of Milton. And these all lead to your short-term work program, which is shows all the initiatives the city will undertake in the next 5 years, as well as some priority projects that have been identified. Additionally, we affirmed the vision and mission from the 2016 plan with CPAC and the general public. Your vision reads: Milton is a premier city where we strive to promote a high quality of life, create a strong sense of community and place, respect our rural heritage while guiding our future, and be the best place to call home. Your mission reads: we take responsibility together to provide the best quality of life to those we serve. Through excellent service to our neighbors, we strengthen our cherished sense of community. Another large part of our public engagement was discussing rural placemaking and smart growth, which you can see here in Crabapple through your form-based code, mix of uses, in walkable areas throughout the city. And we really wanted to take that conversation and also speak to rural character and heritage and intertwine the two through the process. And based off of that, we came up with the key findings toolbox. This came out of the April 14th CPAC meeting, where we specifically discussed rural character and also did a comparable cities research presentation. We looked at places like Aiken, South Carolina, Wellington, Florida, and Lexington, Kentucky, among other communities, for their relationships in terms of agritourism, equestrian heritage, and land uses, et cetera. And so these are the 5 components to the key findings toolbox: land use and ordinances, zoning that supports rural lifestyles, growth and service boundaries, which I'll talk about in a couple slides in more detail, parks, trails, and green space, commercial nodes, specifically in designated areas, agritourism as it relates to parks, trails, and partnerships and funding. So you can look to the future partnering with nonprofits, educational institutions, taking advantage of grants and tax credits. Through this process, we also reviewed the 8 different character areas throughout the city. The boundaries of the character areas have not changed through this process from the 2016 plan, but there was a thorough vetting by the public in CPAC of the descriptions and an update to reflect the future vision for each of those unique areas. Future land use was also discussed in detail, specifically at the May 6th CPAC meeting. We discussed specific parcels, including areas such as Cogburn Road, Bethany Bend, and Green Road. We are continuously working to update this future land use map for this plan. Urban growth boundaries. This concept, again, came out of the April 14th CPAC meeting. An urban growth boundary can serve as a regional boundary, established in an attempt to control development within a community. This resonated with the CPAC as a potential tool to add a additional layer of protection to help balance growth and rural heritage and preservation. With that said, it was added to the short-term work program is in order for the staff to do a due diligence period where they will research urban growth boundaries and really understand how it will function in Milton and how it can benefit it. And with that said, the map on your screen is a conceptual map, which is currently the red outlines are currently showing the sewer extents that exist in the city of Milton, as well as the 27.1 acres of the Birmingham master planned area, which you can see just south of Birmingham Park on the map. And so this map will be vetted, researched, and go through an entire due diligence process with the city staff. They will obviously review any type of pros and cons that relate to the city, such as it could ensure more compact development within those boundaries. It could protect agricultural and rural land from conflicts with more urban uses, et cetera. Short-term work program. So some near-term priorities were identified with CPAC, city staff, and the project team. And these are some initiatives that are low-hanging fruit that can be accomplished rather quickly, and I'll just read through these. LU.7 is perform due diligence to implement restrictions to flag lots, and I believe some work has already begun on this initiative. LU5, perform due diligence to define projects and identify land and costs for another bond specific to active parks, trails, public venues, and green space. So we're now expanding on the different initiatives from the previous bond. LU8, perform due diligence to update AG zoning to increase minimum lot widths from 100 to 150. LU9, perform due diligence and planning to implement urban growth boundaries. LU13, identify appropriate areas and districts for current and future uses and determine conditions and permitting for such uses, such as applying potentially form-based code updates in the Bethany Bend area. The following slides show the full short-term work program. We have land use, sustainability, transportation, economic development, and a new category, which is placemaking and branding, which emerged as a very exciting and supported initiative for the city, especially when it comes to character areas and really defining those unique properties of those areas. So the projects that are bolded and starred on each of these pages have been identified by the community and by CPAC as additional priorities that they would like the city to see the city tackle in the next year or two. Some of these I already spoke to. LU4, also LU5, again, is in support of another bond expanding to active parks, trails, public venues, and green spaces. Let's see, what else? LU9A, seek funding opportunities to seed fund a revolving TDR bank. LU13, which was actually added in the last couple of weeks, is to identify appropriate areas and districts for current and future uses. Again, to look at expanding the form-based code in certain areas. Economic development, ED2, develop a marketing plan for Milton, which reflects our branding and to include digital visitors information, agribusiness promotion, and event marketing. ED3, pursue a greater emphasis on economic development using a diverse toolbox, such as establishing a citywide Milton Development Authority, pursuing a study on tax incentives that may be part of the economic development marketing plan, collaborating with state organizations for tourism, agritourism, to name a few. Transportation, collaborating with the bicycling community to create bike routes, signage, infrastructure, safety, education, and promotion. This is something that we heard over and over again from the public and also at the draft plan open house when we had a large group of cyclists come and give us some input. T3 considers smart features to improve transportation infrastructure and safety in Milton. T5, increase community access and use of trails by implementing the 2020 Milton Community Trail Prioritization Plan. Under sustainability, develop a citywide solid waste strategy as well as a citywide recycling strategy, including and not limited to a plan for glass, bulky items, paints, chemicals, and electronics, which you already are starting to implement, as seen earlier. S4, consider making green infrastructure a policy citywide and to also set green infrastructure goals. And your new category, which is placemaking and branding, includes projects such as conducting a branding study for Milton to include character area specific recommendations, implementing wayfinding, gateways, and district signage reflective of our Milton brand and to be incorporated with the overall branding strategy for the city. PB5, incorporate public art throughout Milton, appropriate to branding and character areas, which includes public venue locations, roundabouts, active parks, and mixed-use development, to name a few. All right, so next steps. We are today in June. We're finalizing our draft plan based off some of the feedback we get tonight. I can implement that, and we will have a copy posted online on Friday to start our state-required 30-day public comment period. We'll also have copies here at City Hall in the new public safety facility for those that may not have access to a computer. In July, when that public comment period concludes, we will review those comments, incorporate them into the document, and we will come back here in the beginning of August and give you an update on our progress. And we will ask you to, vote for a motion to transmit the document to the Atlanta Regional Commission and to DCA. They will do their review period in September, and we will move towards potential adoption in October. And thank you all so much for having me tonight. I do have some slides here for public comment. I didn't know if there was anyone online or in the audience that would like to say anything.
Jamie, I'm assuming we don't have public comment on this, do we?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Any council have any questions? Laura?
I have a comment. So thank you very much. A lot of the team is here tonight, and this has been like childbirth almost, right?
Yes.
And honestly, we struggled in the beginning because the market study for our town is a little bit scary. There's a lot of people that want to live here. And so what we really struggled with was, where do we start? And we circled back around to, we have a great thing going in the city due to people on both sides of me and in the formal council of land use, and really sticking to what makes a city special. And so we have some great things already in place. So we decided to build on the previous comp plans and enhance the things that can further protect Milton. We're really excited about the urban services boundary because long after we're gone, you're gone, it's another layer of protection outside of the sewer map. And the comp plan, it's just one more gate to get through to change things here that make it so special and the reason that our market demand is so high. Everyone worked so hard on this. One of the things that I'd like to just go back over, because we have the comp plan, we just finished our strategic plan. And everyone's excited that worked on the team of, all right, when are we going to do all this stuff? But we do have to we are working on merging these things. And I wanted just, Steve, if you could just point out how the two will work together this year and how they will complement each other in the future.
So generally, you would do your comp plan and end up with your short-term work plan, which would inform your strategic plan. We've been on a cycle here in the city that's had them happening contemporaneously, which it makes it a little awkward. This will be the last time that it happens this way. It will we'll be off cycle now, and going forward, you'll go through the comp planning process. Have the next one, we'll do our 5-year update. We'll take a short-term work program from that, and that'll inform the strategic plan work. This time around, what I envision, because we have an adopted strategic plan, I'll be coming before the council as part of that every quarter to update you all on progress and to add new elements to that living document. How this would probably work best is to start funneling short-term work programs from the comp plan into our strategic plan based on your priorities as a council.
Thank you. There's a lot. There's a lot. So we're excited to get started. Thank you very much. And I just want to thank again the team. I don't know what we're going to be doing on Fridays anymore. I'm
think
going to
they'll
miss
figure it out.
everyone. Thank you for all your hard work.
Do our day jobs.
Any other questions? Paul?
I'd just like to echo what Laura has said. It's been a tremendous effort to get us to this point. Steve, your leadership in this has really been remarkable. We could not have achieved this without you. Chernick and members of our leadership teams from the consultants and staff have just done a tremendous amount of heavy lifting to make this work. I've said this at one council meeting before, but I just want to echo it again because I think it's an interesting place where we are as a city, and it bears repeating. And that is, this is the first time having participated in all of the comprehensive plans to date in one fashion or another, either as a planning commission or now on council. We've created this tremendous place to live, and we're getting a lot of popularity and getting recognized for it. And that's, as Laura recognized, previous councils, as well as the work being done by current staff to get us there. It's a great place to be also at this point in our livelihood, where we can begin to look at some of the nice to haves rather than the infrastructure things that were the have to haves. This is the first time that I can remember that we can begin to look deeper at amenities for this quality of life and not just worry about traffic flow, turn signals, extra turn lanes, the infrastructure things that are still there and still addressed in this. And there are transportation plans that are being brought forward in this ideas as well that will serve us well. But it's been very rewarding to be able to focus through the leadership of those two young ladies that we saw this evening, Mark Arrington on our recycling program, Tracy Stickles on some of the work that we've done with the green programs. It's just a refreshing place to be at this point, and but I feel very fortunate to have been a part of it.
All right, anything else?
And just one last word on the comp plan. It's very colorful, and we blew our printing budget because look at all the green there. It's going to be so bad next month.
Looking forward to voting on it in the fall.
All right, well, thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much. Have a
Appreciate
wonderful
it.
evening.
Okay, there are no items under first presentation. We will now move on to public hearing. Will the city clerk sound the item?
That item is public hearing regarding a resolution to enact and/or extend a moratorium for 120 days on the acceptance of alcohol applications, building permit applications, and land disturbance permit applications for farm wineries in the city of Milton. Agenda item number 21190. Mr. Paul Fricky.
The item before the council this evening is essentially an extension of a moratorium that was imposed on May 24th, a 35-day emergency moratorium, in order to comply with the state zoning procedures law to enact a longer-term moratorium. Public hearing is required. The purpose of this is to allow staff time to address farm wineries in the zoning ordinance, and it's a moratorium on alcohol applications, building permit applications, and LDP applications related to farm wineries. The extent of what we have this evening.
All right, thank you. Are there any public comments on this?
There are none.
So I'll close the public hearing. Is there any discussion on this, council? All right, well, we will move on to vote on that later in new business. So there are no items under the zoning agenda or unfinished business. So moving on to new business, will the clerk please sound the item?
Consideration of a resolution to enact or extend a moratorium for 120 days on the acceptance of alcohol applications, building permit applications, and land disturbance permit applications for farm wineries in the city of Milton. Agenda item number 21190. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, do I have a motion?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve agenda item number 21-190.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Longoria and a second from Councilmember Morg. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? All right, that's unanimous. All right. Will the city clerk please stay on the next item?
That next item is consideration of an intergovernmental agreement for use and distribution of proceeds generated by the 2021 Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax Referendum. It's agenda item number 21191. Ms. Stacy Inglis.
I am sitting in for Sarah Leaders today. She's on a well-deserved vacation. So the IGA before you is between Fulton County and the 13 cities that are within Fulton County. And this will allow the referendum on the ballot for the second T-SPLOS 2, to be voted on by the voters. And what this means over a period of 5 years is about $36 million for the city of Milton. You have already approved the project list back a few meetings ago in May. And so we ask that you approve the IGA for tonight.
All right, thank you. Is there any public comment?
There are none.
All right, so I will close the public comments. Any discussion or questions? Open up for a motion.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 21-191.
Second?
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Bentley and a second from Councilmember Moore to approve agenda item number 21-191. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you. And thank you for not asking questions.
You got it.
Maybe we should.
A lot of control.
Okay, we will move on to council reports. Anyone need to report on anything? Okay.
I want to say one thing. I noticed on our consent agenda with all the subdivisions that come through, there was one combination on Wood Road. So that was exciting to see. There are some people moving here and combining plats, so it does happen.
Larger lots.
Yeah, large lot incentives. There you go.
All right, well, we will move on to staff reports and Sam Traeger with Human Resources.
Good evening. Just want to report on a few things that are going on in HR over the last couple of months. One of the things that's concerning us is a little bit this time is retention of employees. Last time we met, we had a retention rate in 2020, about 87%. We lost 20 employees. So far this year, we've already lost 10, a couple more. I guess it's to be expected as the job market's picking back up and people are having other opportunities. We hope to be able to continue to retain employees and end up about the same place we were in 2020 with our retention rate. Speaking of employee retention, one of the people that we lost this year was Alexandra Gephardt. She was our HR manager. She'll be missed, but we're lucky enough to replace her with a young lady named Maya Banantine, who started today as our new HR manager. So we have new staff in HR, if you're wondering, through City Hall over on that side. Recruitment over the last 3 months, we've done a lot of recruitment of new employees. We've filled all of our positions at Camp Joyful Souls, summer intern positions. We filled also 11 additional positions that include, as I mentioned, HR manager, the new financial services manager will be starting in July. And we also filled our chief building official position. And that person starts at the end of this week. So we're on board with that. We've done a lot of recruiting. Our ongoing training program with our employees is doing really well. We have separate programs, one for our management team, and we've been going through some things like programs about delegation, building trust, and organizational performance management. And in April, the rest of our employees started in with LeaderGov doing training also. They started out with some personality profiling stuff. And their most recent training this past month was been on time management, which was very beneficial. Lastly, I wanted to bring up our Juneteenth Lunch and Learn. We had a lunch and learn in here on Friday with the help of Greg and his group. We brought in 4 speakers to talk with us about what Juneteenth means to them. It was really informative. We had a really good turnout. And I think it was an overall great program, one of the best lunch and learns we've probably thrown here. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Great. Any questions for Sam? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Bob. Tracy. Fight over it. Tracy. You got it.
Everything is a team effort. It's a village. Yeah.
Great.
Thanks. Yes, keeps me in line.
Good thing.
Yeah, I just want to, before I start, I just want to quickly echo the CPAC. I want to tell everybody it was really a tremendous effort to get it going. But I do want to credit Steve because he really reached out and said, Bob, you can have all the resources, any staff you need to get this to the finish line. And we took full advantage. We had everybody helping us. But you know, it just shows that when you really have a great team and support from leadership, you can conquer anything. And I really want to thank the team. I want to thank Todd. I want to thank Ron. I especially want to thank Steve because he gave us the resources we needed to really, really achieve a great comp plan. And I really think it's a great comp plan. Everybody I talked to said, Bob, this is one of the best. And I think it will totally align and complement everything that's in the strategic plan. And the one thing I like is that Steve said, when I first looked at it, I said, Steve, you know, strategic plans usually get done and get on the shelf. He said, not this one. Every quarter, we're going to be sitting there making sure we hit the marks. And that's just great. I mean, really, it's just, so I do want to thank him because it's super leadership. And without that support, I don't think we'd be where we are. Laura Richter didn't tell you, we're actually running ahead of schedule. So we'll actually be finished this thing up ahead of schedule, which is from coming from behind, like Councilmember Bentley said, and then to end up ahead of schedule, I think shows that we really pushed hard, extra hard to get to where we needed to be. So I do want to thank everybody. That was really great. Okay, a couple of things. Number one, the council recently elected to bring building department staff in-house. Where's that? Okay. So I will say in the interim, staff has been bridging the gap. We have some good news on that front. We have a new employee, Emily, who's joined the team on June 1st, and she's working as a permit tech up front with Megan, and they're both been working real hard. They're answering calls for a staff of 4, so everything is flowing through them right now, so it's a little crazy, but they've really been stepping up and taking it on. I want to thank the fire chief because he allowed us to utilize Alex Fortner and Matt Marietta. And between those and myself and Josh Rogers, we all ran around and we have hit every single inspection. We're doing 45 a day. We haven't missed a beat. Everything is on time, moving along. And the industry and the contractors are all very happy so far with our turnaround and what we've been doing. So we really haven't missed anything, but the next person that we did hire is the chief building official, which is Joe Alexander. And he's starting on Friday, and he's been dropping by all this week, kind of get to see the city, and we're driving him around, getting him to know the area. He comes from the city of Swanee, so he's familiar with Georgia law, very intimate with Georgia law. He's done a lot of work. He's worked with our previous staff members as well in the other cities. So it's really a great team approach there. I had a meeting with him today and it's just phenomenal. So we're really moving along, and we're looking now at plan examiners and inspectors. We've been interviewing them, see what we can do with them. But I think the team is assembling. I'm real happy with it, and it's really working, and we haven't dropped the ball at all on it. So that's all really good news. One of the big initiatives that we'd like to start, possibly initiating now, is to resurrect the UDC. We had started it, we had stopped it for a little while as a section. And I think the next big stride, now that CPAC is done and we got the building department in the next couple of weeks up and running, so maybe mid to late summer, I'd like to really think it's not to like resurrect that UDC. And I think a lot of the priority initiatives that we looked at in CPAC, we could probably start addressing as part of that initiative. Some of those items I think would fall right into that, and we could start looking at that. So I think it's a good segue right from where we are to leap into that and try to get that done. All right, so what's happening around Milton? So the amphitheater on the green, they hit a Georgia power line right underneath the amphitheater. It's construction. At least it wasn't a buried car or something like that. So I was thinking when he came in, I says, "Did you hit a buried car?" He's like, "No, it's a high power line." Like, that's worse. The car we pull out, the high power line will take forever for Georgia Power to move, and it's taking forever for Georgia Power to move. But we're working on that. So hopefully we can get that relocated and you'll see that develop much more rapidly. Former Milton Country Club, the building portion, the interior and exterior renovations is out to bid. Those bids are expected to be received next week. So hopefully we'll get some good pricing on that. The market's been tough. Inflation pressure has been pushing and people got scared. Things are starting, though, to come down. I don't know if they'll go back to normal, but they are trending downward. So we're not seeing the upward trend on that anymore. That's peaked. And now people are telling me they're starting to get availability of lumber, price of lumber is dropping. So it's looking better. It was worrying me a little bit. So we've received a lot of questions from bidders. So we're getting a lot of bidders, I guess. I'm hoping we're seeing a lot of questions. And we're responding to those. Providence Park, we worked hard to get that started as well. And thanks to Stacy and Tom from Parks. It's, again, team effort. Matt Falstrom from Public Works, Sarah Leaders, everybody. Everything's a team, and we're really kicking it out of the park. It's just great. Got a lot of resources when you have a team. But they started work today. This week they'll be out there. They're actually physically starting field work. So that's a good sign. And I think it was really nice. Stacy and Steve put together a nice little project management plan, and it kind of tracks communications and deadlines and priorities and risk management levels, like things that might become impediments to the project. So it's kind of a nice roadmap for staff to see, and I think it's been very successful. And it's certainly been helping us out. The next one is grading permits and land disturbance. So I want to talk about this just for a little while. I want to kind of, there's been some trees that have come down and some questions about trees, and I know a lot of staff, council members are beginning phone calls and all. So we kind of stopped for a moment, retreated, looked at it and said, what can we do better? How do we look at this? How should we approach trees and the removal of trees in the city? So we're sort of looking at that. And one of the things we're implementing now is a much stronger pre-construction meeting where the arborist will be at the job before they start to ensure that tree-safe fence is up where it should be, that the contractors know that they can't take trees down that aren't shown, things like that. So we're really doing more, and I think we're emphasizing more field involvement from the arborist. And Sandra should be here. So would you like to get up and just talk a little bit? Well, you can still get up and talk a little bit. You want to go? Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your lines. Sorry. All right, I stole it. You can repeat it all. They'll hear it.
Good evening, everyone. So Bob did ask me to come and speak on this, and then he spoke on it. But I just wanted to kind of let everybody know that we have identified in our department the concern about tree save and installation of tree safe fence prior to work beginning, specifically on grading permits and land disturbance permits. It seems to have been an issue lately. So one of the solutions we came up with was getting me involved with the pre-construction meetings before work begins. So I will be meeting with the site inspector and with the applicants and contractors before work begins. We will have a pre-construction meeting, and I will set up our expectations and our requirements, and also let them know what will happen when they do something wrong. So we'll get that set up at the beginning so that way everybody knows, and then they can't say they didn't know. There'll be no more excuses. And on top of that, I will, once I know a project has started and we have the pre-construction meeting, I will know it's going on, and I will be able to start doing spot checks after that. So we're excited about doing that. I'm excited to get involved with the pre-construction ahead of time, and we think that'll make a big difference.
Sandra and Bob, I just have a comment on, thank you for that, because, you know, once those trees are gone, they're gone. And it's almost like people mourn them, right? Because it was part of their route. And I would just ask for, you know, I know that sometimes diseased trees, it makes sense to, you know, take them down while the land is being cleared, but we seem to be a city that can kind of deal with a little bit of a sad tree for a while if it's going to pick back up. But and then also I just wanted to, you know, appreciate the landscape going in at the southeast corner, but it's, you know, it looks sad. There's some trees that are not going to make it this summer, so I hope that we can make sure that those trees that don't make it, because I don't know if they went in at the right time. You know, I'm not an expert like you are, but there's several dead trees there that are part of the landscaping.
Birmingham Crossroads?
Yeah,
Yes.
southeast corner.
But we do have
So-
a bond for those, so
Okay.
we will be
So-
checking those before they're done
Wonderful.
with the project.
Sorry to get into that detail.
Yeah,
but
Ted has gone through, this is his, I think, second landscape firm.
there's-
The
there's a
first
lot.
one he did, he put it in, we weren't happy with it. Then he hired another firm, they came in, they tried to change the plan. We told them you can't change the plan, so we went back and redesigned everything and told them you have to restore it back to what the council had approved. And then.
So they got a late start.
So they got a kind of a late start,
So now the trees are very sad out
Yeah.
there.
and we'll
Yeah.
make sure that they, yeah, we got to look at that.
Yep.
Okay. We'll stay on it for sure. Yes. Okay, so Teresa, you want to go up a little bit? We're pretty happy with the things that Teresa has been doing here with her glass recycling. So we showed some pictures.
I want to get up here before you do my
I'm
presentation.
not-
So Bob had asked me to give you a few sustainability updates. Good evening, by the way. The first one related to the land trust. And I know you're aware that we've been having conversations with Southern Conservation Trust to help with regard to some features out at the former Milton Country Club. We're working on an agreement with them that's going to do a baseline flora and fauna survey out there. That'll be very useful over time to see how successful the habitat restoration has been. Ideally, you'd want to see some increase in flora and fauna, native flora and fauna. Habitat restoration as far as invasive plant removal and native plant plantings, some hydrology feature plantings, and erosion control plantings. So their expertise they'll be bringing to the table how we restore the natural environment out there. And it'll be both for the benefit of wildlife, which is very dear to my heart. It'll be to the benefit of erosion control, which is tremendously important, and also the hydrology features that will be coming out of the hydrology study that's being done right now. The next thing is green communities. The application, this year's application went in, which we do that every 4 years, went in at the end of May. ARC will have until August to review it, and then they'll come back for perhaps clarification or additional documentation. Then they'll come out in October and audit us. And they won't actually make the announcements until January of 2022. But the heaviest lift of that is hopefully behind us for this round. And actually, I meant to start this off by talking about, Bob was saying how it takes a village, and there's been all this cooperation across departments. That has never been more true than the Green Communities application. I was primarily responsible for it, but it would not have been possible without work from, I got help from finance and public works and IT and communications, community engagement, parks. Everybody has a piece of that. It's amazing how sustainability sits, and it should sit across all the different departments. So that's been a really wonderful collaboration. And then the last thing is the glass. As you know, we honored the students this evening with the proclamation. So the collection bin, the collection box is in place at Bell Memorial. I'm not sure if any of you have been out there to see it or perhaps deposit anything there, but I checked it this afternoon and looks like it's approximately half full. And this is with, we've done rollout on our social media, but I think there's probably going to be an article in the Milton Herald, and the AJC has interviewed us about it. So I think that's going to be another surge of glass. So I think we're going to have to empty it pretty soon, which is really exciting. So
Just one quick comment. I think people are really excited by what you said, by actually the use. But I know in our subdivision, it went out to all the HOA because they're trying to promote it and get it out, and people are
Nice.
excited about that.
wonderful. I'm glad to hear that.
I didn't initiate that. They did that on their own.
Well, I think people were so thirsty for it, and they've heard other people, complaining about what to do with glass, that when one person heard that there was a solution, I think it spread like wildfire. I was literally afraid that the bin was going to fill up in the first day or two, and then we were going to have to close it, and people were going to be angry. And the glass recycler said, well, historically, that doesn't happen, even in communities where people are really excited about it. But I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, we all appreciate it. And also, I echo what we said earlier, appreciate Mark, and you've been involved in this for years too, so. I
That's the
appreciate
heavy
everybody.
lifter right there. That's the man from the very beginning.
It's not a small container.
And you won't miss it.
You won't miss it. Yeah, we'll make sure. Okay, I always like to end with a project, just to kind of give you a glimpse of what's going on and around Milton. So tonight we're featuring the medical offices right here in Crabapple on Mayfield Road and Charlotte. And we work very closely with this developer. We ended up uh, achieving 2 medical buildings that meet the form-based code criteria. We created a plaza in between the 2 buildings, which I think will be very enhancing for the roundabout and the intersection, and kind of keep that open and visible, which really works. Up on the upper left is the existing stone house, and there's a lot of people that are interested in that. So what we did was, as part of the demolition, um, we put together through design review board, we required that they reuse the stone in the new architecture. So there's quite a bit of that stone that's going to be very visible and reused. And we met with them out there and told them that we want them to store it all in a safe spot and tag it. And what we did was, as part of the approval process, we told them that we wanted drawings of the existing buildings, architectural drawings, to keep that as a historical fact, showing exactly what it is. So anytime we're taking down any of these buildings now, we're trying to ask for some real design, show us what it was, so that we can kind of keep a little archive of really what it was, what it looked like, and what the significance of the buildings were on some of these demolitions. I think the site plan really worked out very nicely. We aligned the driveway with the library, and that worked out real nice in there and kept all the parking in the rear. This lot also ties in with the lake as far as detention. So this is part of the regional lake area, and we tied that all into, which was really, I think, a great achievement. Let me just show you. So this is what some of the architecture is starting to look like. It's been approved by DRB. Like I said, they're medical, but we kept them in tone of with the character of that area. It's on a historic corridor that runs down. We have the old White House there that's still there, the flower shop, and the other historical building that is along that corridor. So I really think that this really kind of takes shape. You can see the stone is integrated into it. I think it really looks good. DRB worked real hard with the applicant to really enhance it and kind of make it look the way they wanted it. So I thought it came out nice. And I think it's going to be a nice asset. So this corner's The LDP is issued, so you're going to start to see activity out there. They're going to be moving dirt and keeping that going. So you'll see that. And then the opposite corner is Dennis Powell's, which I showed last month, where he's coming in and he's starting to work on his LDP. So we'll see that whole intersection get built. Lakeside of Crabapple's going like crazy. I've been over there inspecting every day, just about. So that's looking real nice too. They're really coming along and building out that whole intersection. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for Bob? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, well, that will do it. I'll open it for a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All right, have a motion from Councilmember Morrig, second from Moore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. When's our next meeting?
No. we're just meeting.
Can I call you in a little bit? We're just finishing up the student,
Okay.
the council. There's Stacy.